is your
Hello,
turn.
hello, Dr. Watson. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hello, guys. Welcome to another session from me. Hopefully, you've been following my sessions. I think this is like my 5th or 6th session here. I focus on programming, primarily web development. So I would request the students to please do check out the YouTube channel of AIU for my previous workshops, because all of my workshops are kind of interlinked like a series of movies, so it's very good for you guys if you go ahead and check out my previous videos and watch these videos, including today's. I'm sure they'll upload the recording in a few days, and do check them out on the repeat as well. But of course, today, let's get to the live portion here. So my name is Jay. My full name is there on the screen right there for you. At the end of the session, I'll give you some details on how you can connect with me if you're interested. Mostly on social media, I am available. What I do is I work as a coding tutor. I specialize in multiple programming languages. One of them is JavaScript, and JavaScript is related to web development. Now, for those of you who are coming in just now, web development is the entire, whatever you do on the internet, okay? Today, because of the internet and mobile apps and everything, almost everything you use is being built on top of web development frameworks and technologies, mainly JavaScript. Okay, so many of you may be newcomers thinking about software career and things like that. Then I would strongly recommend you take your first steps into programming with JavaScript. For example, what you're looking at right now, you're on my screen right now, you're looking at PowerPoint, you're looking at PowerPoint presentations and things like that. For example, what I'll do is, if I want to, I can go here and I can actually go ahead and say something like, let me just go ahead and do something for you. Okay, so I'm going to show you something very interesting. And this is where I want you guys to understand why web development is so important. So I'm opening a document here. I'm logging into my cloud, so let me just, okay, just give me a minute here. So I'm just opening my personal drive. So I just pause my screen sharing. So don't panic yet. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just opening a file here, the same PowerPoint. I want to show you the power of web development and why it is so important for everything that we are doing these days. Okay, guys, so let me just get that file, what I want to show you. Okay, here we go. So I'm resuming my screen sharing. Now look at this on the screen right now. You're seeing my OneDrive account. OneDrive is kind of like Google Drive or Dropbox. And what I want you to notice is, see, this is my PowerPoint, right? This is my PowerPoint presentation. It's there on my computer. I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint. Now look at this. I go back to my Internet Explorer. Now you can see here, right? This is my Internet Explorer, right? Now what I'll do is I have the same workshop. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Let me make this a little bit tile-based here. There we go. Okay, now look at that. You can see here, this is the PowerPoint presentation I'm talking about. And I'm going to open this completely in the browser. Okay, now look at it. There are 2 PowerPoints open right now. Same PowerPoint, same PowerPoint. Look at this. This is on the website and this is on the computer. Look at that, side by side. Can you see it? I'm sure Dr. Walken is appreciating now. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Okay, almost everything, not now, for the last 10 years, almost everything you used to do, you can do on your computer is becoming web-based. The difference between a desktop software and an online software is becoming blurry. And the proof is in front of you. On the right side, you have my PowerPoint desktop software. And on the left side, you have the same PowerPoint running as a website. Now, this is why I keep telling my students, if you are new, if you're experienced, then you don't need to listen to me, okay? But if you are new, which is what I assume all of you are, and if you're about to start your career in software development, this is the reason, my dear students, I hope you're able to see on the screen right now. This is the reason why I always tell my students, please go ahead and start learning web development, okay? Now, the thing about this is because, as you can see, the power of web development, the reason why all of this, let me go back to my standard PowerPoint just to make things a little faster. So the thing about web development is, okay, as I mentioned, in the last 10 years, this has really exploded, is when something becomes so popular, you obviously start having too many options. All right. Like, for example, if you're going to the city, like a big city or something, you can take a taxi, you can hire a taxi, you can rent a taxi for the full day, or you can use a bicycle, you can use a two-wheeler or three-wheeler or something. You can use the metro, you can use the bus. There are so many options in a big city. Similarly, web development is so huge. We have a situation where a lot of students are like, okay, all right, Jay, I heard your video, I watched your other videos. You keep saying web development, but I'm always confused because there is so much information out there. And that is the question I want to answer today. And I want to connect that question to React.js, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. So let me go ahead and bring up the whiteboard here. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring up the whiteboard. There we go. Okay, all right. And now what I would like you to understand is, now we talk about web development, we always talk about web applications. For example, that Microsoft, that PowerPoint online I showed you, that is what is called as a web application, because you can do things right from your browser. Now, that is the end result. So if you want to build web applications, then what you need is a framework. So we'll come back to that in a second. To get to learn how to do frameworks, you need to first learn the basics of web programming. So we are talking about web programming basics, okay? And to do this, you need to start by learning the things that Professor mentioned in the beginning: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, I hope you guys, you can take a photo or something while you're watching me and things like that, okay? So this is how it works for a student who wants to become a web development. So this is what we really want to do. Let me change my color here. So this is what you really want to do. You want to build web applications. Okay, now to do that, you need to learn at least one framework. There are so many frameworks. I'll talk about that as well. But before that, you need to learn the web programming basics. And before that, you need to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this is the journey, my dear students. When you talk about becoming a web developer, when somebody says things like, hey, I'm a web app developer, hey, I'm a full stack developer, and things like that, this is exactly what we are talking about. It's a very long journey. And I've been doing these, sessions for AI for some time. So if you check out my previous videos on the YouTube, there are dedicated videos about the basics of programming, about, like the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and web basics. And today I am kind of talking about this one. So to be able to do frameworks, please understand, you must first learn the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And after that, you'll have to learn the web programming basics. Mainly, you need to learn things like GitHub. You need to learn how to use online tools to read and find answers. And of course, maybe even use AI and things like that. We did a session on AI as well, so please do check it out. And of course, you need to learn something called as Bootstrap. So once you are good with this and this, then the big question, what is a framework? Okay, and that is the question I'm trying to answer today. Now, the thing is, let me clear out this here. If you want, you can take a photo. I'm going to leave that there on the screen for a minute. If you're on a phone, take a screenshot. If you're just watching on the screen, take a photo or something. So keep that with you. Now, what are we talking about, my dear students? Now, the question is, in any kind of software development, we always have something called as a framework. Now, along with JavaScript, I also work on .NET, I work on Android, I work on iPhone development. As you can see, I'm pretty old. I worked on many, many things in my, kind of life. I've been coding for 20 years, so it's been a very long journey for me. So frameworks is kind of like a collection. All right, guys. So to give you an example, it's kind of like, let's say you want to go for, say, a vacation or something, all right? So in India, what happens is, if we have to go for a vacation, there are two ways we can do a vacation. We can sit down and plan everything on our own, Second option is we have these companies like touring companies or travel agents. You can buy like a touring package or something. So you just pay a single amount and they will take care of travel, accommodation, sometimes even breakfast and things like that. So that kind of works out very cheap for you and so on. So it's like a complete package. So you can focus mainly on your tourism. Similarly, in technology, we have a collection of tools, collection of frameworks, libraries, and all these things coming together. That is what is called as a framework. So we use framework just like how when you buy a tourism package, you can focus on the travel and enjoying the tourism and not worry about things like which hotel, what food, the tickets and things like that. Similarly, a framework will give you all the things you need to focus on building software. So you can focus on that without having to worry about what tool to use, which library to install, how to manage it, how to deploy it, and things like that. So that is the main reason why we use a framework. Now, frameworks are there in all programming languages, whether it is JavaScript or .NET or Java or Swift, C, C++, you will find frameworks in every programming language. Now, in JavaScript, okay, there are some very, very famous frameworks because, it's become so big, you will usually hear about 3 frameworks, okay? So let me stop my whiteboard here and go back to my presentation, all right? So there we go. So when we talk about frameworks, which are the more popular frameworks, we are talking about 3 frameworks. You have React.js, which is the one I want to talk about today. That is what I usually do whenever I work on a project for a client or something. Usually I go ahead and focus on React.js. Another framework which is very popular is Vue.js. Vue like, viewing, like a viewing window. Vue, like a view. So that's Vue.js. That is the second library, second framework. You can also call them libraries. The word library, framework, they're kind of interchangeable, but framework is usually a collection of libraries, whereas a library is a single thing. So we prefer to use the word framework. So Vue.js is the second most popular framework for web development. And finally, we have another framework, another library called as AngularJS. Now, all 3 of them are popular. Okay, I mean, there are arguments like which is number 1, which is better. It's not about which is better, which is not better, guys. It's like computers. If you have a Dell computer, you have a Sony computer, you have a Lenovo computer, they are all the same thing. Inside, they have the same thing, so it doesn't make really a difference. Some people like Dell, some people like Lenovo, but ultimately inside you have the same thing. That's how it works. Maybe where you are, like in your country, Dell is more popular. Like in India, for example, Acer is very popular. But at the same time, a lot of people buy Dell. I use HP, I use Apple. So it's all the same thing, really. So frameworks, they all kind of try to do the same thing. So it's not like this is better, that is better. It's like an individual preference because they all have some unique thing going on. Now, if you have to become a web developer, any one of this is fine. Now, normally, how does it happen? Why did I end up in React.js is another question that comes up whenever I talk to students about this. And I'll tell you guys, I know how to use all these things, but I end up doing a lot of React.js because in India, we have a lot of React.js projects. That's it. There's no other reason. Like I get a lot of React.js work, so I use that. So wherever you're living, like when you apply for a job or something, if your company is using React.js, then obviously you'll become an expert in React.js. If your company is using Vue.js, then obviously you'll become an expert in Vue.js. So depending on the need and demand, it's not like you can join a company and your boss says, okay, guys, we are using Vue.js, and you won't get up and say, oh, no, boss, I'm not going to use Vue.js. I only want to do React.js. I don't think you'll just quit your job like that. Not your first job, at least. So that's the way it works, guys. All these 3 frameworks are equally good. So if you want to learn, just learn any one framework. And I promise you, when you get a job, it doesn't matter which framework your company is using. whatever you learn in one framework will be useful in another framework, just like a computer or a car. So if you can learn how to drive one brand car, it is not that difficult to go from this brand of car and start driving another brand of car. Or if you learn how to drive a car, can you drive a bus? Not really, but maybe with some practice or something, you should be able to drive a bus as well, because they're both vehicles. Different, but still similar. So that is the way it works with the three main frameworks. Now, other than this, there are always people coming up with new frameworks every year. So, some things become more popular, some things die away, some things become reborn again, and things like that. For example, Google has this new thing called Flutter. You may have heard about it. So that's another framework. They are trying to make it popular. So you may be seeing a lot of advertisements about Flutter developer, Flutter development, and things like that. So there you go. There are many more frameworks that is coming true. Now, one more thing I want to tell about React.js is, okay, one is why React.js. I already told you. I'm going to drink some water. Hold on. Meanwhile, Mr. Dr. Watson, if you have any questions you want to take now, I'm happy to do that. Let me know if you want me to.
I'm glad anyway you are making the invitation. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are now made aware that our Professor Jay is willing to jump in and answer any question that you would like to ask, as the topic of web development is fairly huge. So at any point that you believe there are some terms, some elements that are not quite clear to you, you want to just be part of the process and ask a question, Jay is ready to stop and address whatever topic you want him to address on your behalf. Thank you, Jay. That's very good.
Okay, all right, guys. Anyway, I was drinking water. So thank you, Dr. Watson, for filling the dead air. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So one reason, my dear students, why I do a lot of React.js is because I started working for this company. They wanted me to do React.js, and they saw me doing React.js, and they, some fresher developers joined the company, and they're like, Jay, you know what? Anyway, you're a teacher. Can you teach them? So like that, it just happened to me. So really, that is why I ended up with the React.js. Now, another reason, now this is actually kind of important, guys, okay? A big benefit of React.js is another technology called React Native. I just realized I should make that a slide. So let me go ahead and put that here. So I'll just type it here so that anybody wants to make notes. So there you go, let that get recorded. So let me just put it a little bit higher. Okay, so there we go. So now another reason why you want to learn React.js is React Native. And it's a bit of an interesting story, my dear students. So let me go ahead and bring up my whiteboard and try to give you a little bit of explanation. So what happens is, now let's imagine a world where you put in the necessary efforts and somehow became interested in React.js. And then, now please understand, I tell this in all the sessions, I'm sure, learning programming is a very lengthy process. All right, guys, now just to give you an idea, I'm not trying to scare you, okay? Not trying to scare you. Just to learn JavaScript, you can take anywhere from 50 hours to 300 hours. It's very difficult. Okay, now that's why I keep telling you, I started like some 20 to 25 years ago. Now I am 40 years old now. I started coding when I was 15. So I started really early. So by the time I came to college, I already knew coding, but people thought, oh, I learned it immediately in the first year of college. That's not true. I was already coding in my high school. So by the time I came to my engineering days, I was ready. So people thought I was learning fast. I was not learning fast. I was just early. You know how some people, like, they're really slow, but they go to the, they start walking early. So they reach early, not because they're fast, but because they were early. So there are two ways you can succeed in life. Either you will go slow, but work hard, or you're like super smart and genius. No, I'm not a smart genius. I'm just a hardworking guy. That's what I am. So remember that it takes you like 200, 300 hours to just learn JavaScript. And after this, you need to learn what is called as vanilla JS. That is what I told you about Bootstrap, that's another 10, 20 hours. And finally, after doing all this, let's say you are able to start learning React.js, which will take you another 50 to 100 hours. Okay, now after doing all this, I'm talking like some 600 hours or something. Now, please try to think about that. Most people can only study for 10 to 20 hours per week. Now, 600 divided by 10 or 20, that is like 300 weeks, which is a big number. So please tell yourself it takes a really long time to become a developer. So please remember to plan accordingly your life. So there you go. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is, so let's say you put in all that hours, all that effort, and you somehow become a React.js developer. Another benefit here is there is something called React Native. Okay. Now, some students, they confuse, React.js and React Native. They are the same thing. They are not. They follow the same philosophy. Okay. Now, to give you an example, if I ask you which is the largest animal on land, I will tell you an elephant. But then if I ask you which is the largest animal in water, I'm going to say a whale. Now, both of them are very big animals, but one of them is in the water, another one is on land. So similarly, but ultimately they're both very, very big animals. So similarly, React.js and React Native follow the same philosophy, okay? And that is they do what is called as components, okay? Now, at the end of the session, I'm going to share with you a few links. I have prepared a simple demo project for this class. I'm going to put that link in the chat. And as I mentioned, if you have, and also show you how, if you guys have any doubts, how you can ask me questions. I'll share those links at the end of the session, all right? So the main thing about React.js and React Native is they use this concept called as components. So in both React.js and React Native, we build the entire software using this idea of components. So that philosophy is the same, but how we build it, how we manage things is kind of different. So the next question for me and probably from you is, okay, so what is the difference and where do we use it? So the idea is React.js is for what I am talking right now. So React.js is for web development. So building apps which run in the browser, like that PowerPoint I showed you. So React.js or any website you may have seen, any kind of website you may have seen, if you want to build such websites, then React.js can help you. So React.js is for web development. Now, React Native, which uses the same philosophy, but is actually a different framework, is useful for mobile app development. Okay, now this is good because a lot of times what happens is when you join a company, when you start working for somebody, then usually you may start your career as a web developer, but majority of the time they will expect you to build mobile apps as well. Now, when I talk about mobile apps, I'm talking about Android, iPhone, and iPad. So the good thing about React Native is whatever you learned, all that hard work you did with React.js, you can take that knowledge, you can take that experience, and you can actually apply that experience into React Native, and you will be able to build Android and iPhone apps. So this is one big reason I always tell my students, like if they have to choose between React.js, they have to choose between Vue.js and AngularJS. I always tell them, if you have a little bit more flexibility in your career if you start with React.js, because that knowledge can be useful if you want to get into mobile app development. So this is why I personally recommend, and the reason why, like, for example, when a professor asked me like what topic I want to talk about, I could have spoken about Vue.js or AngularJS or Flutter, but I decided to speak about React.js because one, you already learned web development, which will help you start your career and so on. But obviously, guys, you know how it is, right? Everybody, I mean, a lot of people today, they don't even have a computer, but everybody has a mobile phone, like now everybody does majority of things on mobile phone, and computers, like you will use it because you're a student. I use it because I'm a tutor, I'm a teacher. Dr. Watson has used it because he's working for the school and everything. But other people don't even use a computer. But like, for example, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my cousins, neighbors, everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has a smartphone. They have tablets and all those things. So there is always more demand for mobile app development. There is actually less jobs in web development. It's still a lot of work, of course, but less compared to mobile app development. So if you're planning your career, you should totally try to get into mobile app development. So the best and easiest way to get into mobile app development is to start with React.js, get your fingers wet, get your beak wet with some programming, website apps and things like that, which is easy. Okay, and then once you have enough experience, start building some mobile apps on Android. And if you can afford an iPhone and a Mac computer, then you can also use the same code to build mobile apps as well. So that is another reason why I tell my students, if you're going to become a web developer, you might as well learn React.js because it helps you widen the job opportunities, the career opportunities in front of you, and it makes you more valuable to your company. Because let's say if like layoffs and all, that's a common thing in everybody's life. Once you start working, companies, economy goes down, economy comes up, companies lay off. If you have multiple skills, if you can do more things, then the chance of you getting laid off is less. So that's another reason why I tell people you should definitely go with React.js, because you have an option to pipe into React Native at some point in the future. So that's about the second reason why I tell people go into React.js. Now, before I go away from this, next thing what I want to mention is a third most important reason is what is called as maturity, right? Now, what does this mean, my dear students? Now, maturity means how old React.js is. React.js, I think, is some 7 or 8 years old, maybe more than that, okay? So it is important that you choose a framework which is like old, because that means more people are using it, okay? And that means there are more YouTube videos. Like when you want to learn something, I will also explain what are the different places. I'll share with you some links where you can go to learn some React.js and all the other things, okay? The older a framework is, the old anything is there in life, there are more people who are using it. There is more tutoring, there is more books on it, there are more videos on it. It's easy for you to get help. Now, this is very, very important. Okay, now when you're learning, you have to get answers. You have to get answers from somewhere, anywhere. You need to ask somebody for help. If you go with something new, then there are very less people who have used it. So there'll be very less people who can help you. But with React.js, it's so old, like 8 years plus. That is my guess. And there are like hundreds and thousands of developers all over the world who are using it. So if you get stuck when you're learning, then it is easy for you to get solutions and answers. And also when you go to the job, you'll always already have many experienced developers who are like me, 30 plus, early 40s kind of people who already know React.js. So it is easy for you to take guidance and help. So these are the reasons why, guys, I tell people, if you're going to choose a framework, then please just go ahead with React JS. So these are my reasons why you should check out React.js. So there you go. So Dr. Watson, anything you want to add or any questions you want to jump in before I go to the next step, sir?
I am personally interested in web development, but I remember the first moments that I tried to do that. It was very tough for me to do coding. I am aware of the implications of HTML language, but at some point in time, because I was having difficulty using coding, then I jumped onto opportunities to use what I call the ready-made web design templates. I'm not sure whether you are familiar with companies like WordPress and Fix and some other companies out there that have their templates ready. You just go there and you place your information, whether it's music, it's image or text, whatever. So in about 1 hour, you are ready to have a fully functional website. So what do you recommend for our participants to just ensure that they become familiar or very knowledgeable about coding, or the alternative of using web development templates? What is your stand, Jay?
Right. So here, Dr. Watson, sir, thank you, sir. Thank you. So now there are actually two things here, Dr. Watson. So what you're talking about is, I would like to use the word, let me just put it on the slide as well as I'm talking to you. What you're talking about, for example, say you have these WordPress and similar technologies. For example, you may also have things like Bootstrap templates, and you may have heard of no code apps and site builders, things like that. So all these things, Professor, are good. They are good when you simply wish to build something to show simple things, Professor. For example, say you want to build a website for your university, where you already know what you want to show, what images you want to put. What we in programming, we use the word called static, something that doesn't change. So those kind of things, Professor, definitely these solutions like WordPress, site builders, they are very useful, and I would actually recommend you use those things. However, I'm talking about things like building websites which change depending on what you're doing, Professor. For example, I showed you, it's still open. You can see on the screen. Now look at that, Professor. That is Microsoft PowerPoint running in the website. It is PowerPoint.com. Okay, so this will be different for me. It will be different for you because you will be building your own presentations. You will be making your own content. So whenever you're talking about things changing depending on what you're trying to do, now that, Professor, we use the word web app. So that's where we have a difference, Professor. You have websites, okay, that is where static, like WordPress and all those things. And then, Professor, we have web apps. So web app is actually software. So we need frameworks. We need things like React.js if you want to get into building web apps. And that is where you have more money, Professor. So right. So if you are starting your career, you may be able to make some amount of money as a website developer, WordPress and stuff like that. However, of course, eventually everybody will marry, have children, all those things will come to everybody's life. So you obviously you would like to, build a more complex thing because, you know how it is in life, Professor. The more difficult things you can do, the more people are willing to pay for it.
Yes.
The WordPress and the HTML and the site builders, they are definitely a good starting point,
Mhm.
but they are, however, they should not be the destination for the students of ours, because they should be able to have a lucrative career, if I can
Mhm.
use that
Mhm.
word. So React.js and things like that, they help you build what is called as custom software, web apps. Whenever you see any job advertisement or something, it's always full stack web developer. It's always web app developer. So that's what we are talking about, Professor. I hope that answers your question,
Oh, yes,
Dr.
you did.
Watson.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Reminding
okay.
you, ladies
Yes,
and
yes.
gentlemen, as well, that the floor is yours. Jay made the point very early in his presentation that you have the permission to just jump in and make your comments and raise questions about everything that he is saying. That topic is fairly data intensive. It's a lot to understand. So please do not hesitate. Feel free to go ahead and ask questions, and responses that Jay will eventually provide will be helpful to each and every one of us participating in this live class session. Thank you again, Jay.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. All right. So guys, the next thing I want to talk about, I still have 20 minutes here. And as I mentioned, please, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat box. Dr. Watson knows that I always stay after the time is over. I don't charge anything for that. So I love students. So don't worry, guys, put all your questions. I'll answer as many as I can. Now, let me move on to the, Dr. Watson, you're saying something, sir.
Let me quickly ask you another permission,
Yeah,
Jay.
of course.
I usually teach students to avoid having a website that they can just go ahead and change things on the slide. And there's a question here that is from one of our attendees, the name being Moses Reyno, and what that participant is asking is whether you are able to, willing to show the slides in full screen.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That student is telling us that he's using a phone, so the screen is already small. So when you just present the whole document, the slides on the left, and then the data in the middle, that makes it a little difficult for that participant to see. So that is up to you if you are able to show everything.
No, not a problem, Dr. Watson. That's totally okay. Whenever I'm sharing the screen, I'll of course make it full screen. I don't keep it full screen because, Watson, I have to show a lot of other things.
Understand.
So I keep it that way.
Yes.
But no problem. I'll make it full screen. I'm just talking. So the next thing what I want to tell guys is, oh, I actually don't even use full screen. Hold on, where is that? Oh my God, what is the button for that? Hold on, Professor. There we. No. Wait a second. I've actually forgotten the full screen option because I never. There's no.
F12 actually should get you the full screen. Try that on your end.
I have this here, right? There we go. Okay, it should be set. Guys, do you see the screen? Okay, am I sharing? No, I'm not sharing yet. Sorry.
You're not sharing now.
There we go. Sorry, guys. Sorry. There we go. It should be better now.
There we go. We got it very well. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So here I was with this one. Okay. All right, folks. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, Dr. Watson, is so what happens with this? Now, the next question is, let's say you do decide. Oh, also, guys, I don't know if you know this, but if you're not able to see my face, you have to find it in Zoom, and there's a button to pin my face. So if you're not doing that, you won't be able to see me when I'm talking. So I hope you guys know how to do it. So you have to go to the Zoom window, find me in the long list of videos, and make sure you pin me on the screen. Otherwise, you won't be able to see me. So just letting you guys know. All right. So right then, the next thing I want to talk about is code sandbox. Okay, so let's say you take my advice and you're trying to practice React.js. Okay, so another very good benefit of React.js is that you can practice the coding directly in your browser. Now, this is something I emphasize in all my other sessions. Okay. Now, the thing is, many of you may have all kind of challenges when you're trying to learn coding. For example, when you're trying to learn coding, just setting up the tools can be a huge, huge challenge. Okay. So that's another reason why I recommend students, like if you're new, then try to use an online editor whenever you're trying to kind of learn how to code and everything. So my personal recommendation, now there are many such online editors. What I like to use for whenever I'm practicing and with my students is this brand called as Code Sandbox. So let me go ahead and share my screen again with the Code Sandbox on the computer. So let me go ahead and get that. Hold on here. Okay, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Hold on. Let's go ahead and remove this full screen here. Let me go ahead and log. Oh, there we go. Sharing my screen again. Okay, I think my screen should be back on. Okay, there we go. All right, now this is the website. I already put it in big letters here. Let me just move this a little bit up. Guys, this is the website. Just write down or take a photo or something, Code Sandbox. So if you want to practice React.js, if you're serious, if you know, after this end of the session, I'll show you some more links as well. If you feel, okay, this framework makes sense, you know, what Jay is saying, it kind of makes a little bit of sense, then Code Sandbox is an online editor that I recommend if you're trying to practice or learn React.js. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how it looks. And I also prepared a demo project for this class. I'll put that link in the chat. And I'm sure Dr. Walson will share that as well with you guys. So first thing is go online and just search for Code Sandbox. Okay, Code Sandbox, Code Sandbox. So that's what it is, Code Sandbox. Now, if you go to this one, you will see something like this. Now, this is my account, so it will show all the projects that I have worked on. So before you can use Code Sandbox, it will look like this. So when you open this for the first time, it looks something like this. All right, guys. And on the top right corner, you will see like a sign in option. And this is something I want to remind the students. Let me get my marker here again. So please remember to use this option. Okay, please make sure you are using GitHub. And of course, another reason why I mentioned that you have to watch my previous videos is because I always tell that every developer must have an account on github.com. Okay, it is kind of like how, you know, you have your mobile number or your passport or student ID card or something. So GitHub is like the passport of all developers. So you have to make sure that you already have a GitHub account before you do any of these things. If you're a developer, you should have GitHub account. So when you use Code Sandbox, please remember to sign in with GitHub. Now, there are some students who ask me, sir, it already says sign in with Google. Can I just use my Google account? My answer is no. You are a developer. So please use developer things like GitHub. So make sure you log in with GitHub when you're using Code Sandbox. So once you do that, once you sign in with GitHub, you will come to the website, which kind of looks like what you're seeing right now. So this is how it will look. So here I want to show you how to create a new project for React.js, and then I'll show you the demo project that I have created just for this class. Okay, guys. Okay, so how do we create a new one? So you can see here, there's a nice button here, very easy. Oh, actually, I'm going to use this one on the top right corner. I click on create, and it will give you so many options. Now you can see here, there are all the frameworks. Remember I told you there is Angular, there is Vanilla.js, okay, another framework I talked about, Next.js, another framework. So there are so many frameworks, guys. I'm sure there it is, Vue.js. Yeah, I told you, see, Vue.js, another new company called Astro. There's no end to this, guys. They create new frameworks every year. Oh my God. Anyway, so we are only interested in React.js. So just select React.js, and in a few seconds, it will start creating a new project for you. And there it is. That's a very simple React.js project, which is created right in front of me. One thing I want to tell you guys is I have a very, very expensive, powerful computer. So everything comes really fast, and I have very high speed internet. So when you try to do it, depending on your computer, depending on your internet, it may take 2-3 minutes, maybe more minutes. So don't worry about it. It's perfectly normal. Nothing wrong with the computer, nothing wrong with it. Just that it's a big kind of thing. It'll take a few minutes to load, because there are some students who have, sometimes tell me, Jay sir, when you opened it, it opened in like seconds. But when I tried to do it, it took 5 minutes. So don't worry if that happens to you, okay? So just remember, it's a big software. It takes a few seconds to load. So once you have it, let me go and do some simple thing. I told you that React.js ultimately is about components, okay? So that's what this is all about. So here it is, that is a component. So just to make it simple, I'll go here and I will say, let me take Dr. Walson's name. So I'm just going to say Dr. Walson, and you can see on the right side, it is coming. I think Dr. Walson can see as well. And I can type something else. I can do something like Dr. Walson. I'm going to type here, and I'm going to say is now resting his face on his arm, which is what he's doing right now. So I'm just typing it just to show how it works, guys. So there you go. And you start practicing React.js. It is so easy, whatever you type, whatever you build, you can see the output immediately. Okay, and this is the best way to practice, because as you're doing something, you can see the output right in front of you. And this is the best way to learn programming, and this is the easiest way to learn React.js. So this is why I recommend a code sandbox. So now that I've shown you how to create a new project, let me open a simple project that I created for today's session. So it is already there on my account. So I'm going to go here. Let me click on this. I'll go to dashboard. I will leave this page. It's fine. It's okay. Okay, and this is the one I created, a few hours ago before the session started. And there you go, my dear students. So this is a simple website I built. I took some, let me just open this in a big, you can see here, like this is what I'm talking about, guys. Now look at all these files here. Look at all this. These are all files and components. So that is where React.js happens. So when you start working on React.js, the most important thing is you have to start thinking about how to write all this code. So right now, let me share this link with you guys. Okay, I already shared this. I'll put it now in the link. So those of you who want to now check it out. So I put the link there. That is an example project I prepared for this workshop. Check that out, and I'll share some more links also after, at the end at the end of the session. But this is the project I'm showing you right now. You can open this on a computer right now if you want. Okay, so all these things, this is why I told you, if you want to learn React.js, if you want to do React.js, you have to learn everything. You have to learn JavaScript. You have to learn HTML. You have to learn CSS. You have to learn Bootstrap. You have to learn vanilla JavaScript. I've gone into some detail in my previous videos, but I hope you can understand how complex all these things are. So all the files, all the code is in front of you for you to kind of explore, and you can do it all from your browser. You don't have to install any special software and things like that. Just make sure you have a GitHub account and then log into Code Sandbox and then open that link I sent you, and you will be able to see the code that I have written, and you can see the output. So where is the output? You can see the output on the right side of the screen. You can see it here. Let me make it bigger. So this is the simple website that I have built. And there it is, guys. That's the website. So it's a very simple website. I took some photos from Wikipedia. Let me make this a little bit smaller. It's too big right now. There you go. Okay. So there it is. So this is a very, very simple website I built using React.js. I got the photo from WordPress. And then you can see it in the top. I have like a menu. I can click on it. You can see how the page is changing. I can click on this. I can type something like hello, hello. There you go. Whatever I type is coming on the screen. If I delete this, I can say, Dr. Wilson, sir. There you go. It's coming there. So that's again coding for you, how to take input, how to show output. And then I click on this button. It goes away, interactivity. And then I built a simple slideshow, like slideshow, like multiple images. It's slowly loading right now. All these images are coming from Wikipedia. So again, you can see the slideshow. The photo is looking good. Guys, again, these photos are not mine. All these are from Wikipedia. So I'm able to take photos from Wikipedia. I'm able to show them here on this website. And finally, I can show a simple photo. There you go, like an error page or something. Again, all that is working just fine. Now, as Professor Dr. Watson asked me before, if you want to, you can build this using WordPress and site builder and so on. And however, this one, if I want to, I can do extra things. Okay, if I want to, I can add Google login, I can add Facebook login, and I can make it so that when I click on this, click on that, something happens, some data changes, something else happens. There are so many advanced things. If I want, I can sit down and build. So that extensibility, that being able to extend the functionality of the website is the reason why you need to invest in React.js. So that is a demo project, guys. So check it out. And the good thing about this is, okay, all the code is in front of you. So you don't, not only can you see the output, you can also look at the code and you can make changes. For example, let's do one thing. Dr. Walsing, sir, I'm going to search for a photo. What is your favorite anything, sir? Favorite temple, favorite animal? I'm just going to change a photo just to show to the students. So tell me something, Dr. Walsing.
Let's look at an eagle.
Say it again, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Sorry.
Eagle.
Eagle. Okay. All right, Professor. Let me go to Eagle and Wikipedia. So let me get an eagle image. So there you go, guys. Dr. Watson likes eagles. So we're going to get an eagle image right now in front of you. So let me see if I can find, there you go, guys. So there it is. I'm going to take this image as you guys are watching, and I'm going to go to my project, and I'm going to go to my page. And this is where the code is. Now look at this, guys. Right now we have this bird. I'm going to go here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to chain this and I'm going to save it. There it is. There you go, Dr. Wilson, just for you, sir. I changed the output so that we have an eagle, and now I can just make it a big window. There you go, sir. So this is what I'm talking about, guys. The code is right there in front of you, and you can experiment with it. You can experiment, make changes, and slowly learn. But don't forget, React.js and anything which I'm showing right now, it takes many months to become a developer. But I want to tell you guys this, okay? I think I told Dr. Wilson as well. I tell everybody this. Me and my family, we were extremely poor. So for us, for me, and a lot of people like us in India, software is the one thing which helped us have a better life. So I am glad when I was younger, along with all the other things that young people do, I was able to sit down and learn some coding. So I'm happy I did that, so that now I have a slightly better life. I'm not saying it's a great life, but it is not a bad life either. It's a good life. So yeah, please invest the necessary time to learn coding, guys. So guys, there you go. Those are all the things I wanted to tell you. I still see I have 4 minutes, and I always stay after 11 a.m. to answer questions. So go ahead. You have any questions, please ask for it. But while you're asking questions, I promised you some links. I'm going to put all the links one by one. So copy paste it from the chat, from the Zoom chat to your notebook or something, but keep asking any questions you have, and I'll keep putting links as I'm talking to you. So go for it. Go for it.
That was really super class, superbly presented.
You're too kind, Dr. Watson. You're too kind, sir.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. It's not just my personal opinion. I've been monitoring the chat line, and many of our participants have expressed the same idea, indicating that this is really great. It's a well presented class, and the comments, similar comments, have abounded in the chat line. So I have no doubt whatsoever this is the impression of all our attendees for this class. Presentation, Jay, about web development. I'm personally impressed because, as I said again, I've been designing websites, but going through the templates. Of course, I am familiar as well with hypertext markup language, but I have found it a little intimidating. So at some point in time, I decided to go for the templates instead. As a matter of fact, before our participants start raising hands to ask questions or make comments, I want to read one in the chat line from Alan Linga. The question he raised was CSS and HTML. CSS is cascading style sheets, which is a language used in website developments, and HTML, hypertext markup language, also another one which we are very, very familiar with when we look at the website. And the question Alan asks is whether those two, CSS and HTML, are necessary to know before you get into this course. So what's your stand on that, Jay?
It is an absolute must, Dr. Wilson.
Okay.
You know, the way it works is, you know, it's like this, Dr. Wilson. Now, whenever I talk about programming, I always tell people that programming is kind of like cooking dinner.
Oh, yes, it takes time.
Okay, now before you can cook something complex, you know, like in India, we have this thing called biryani. I don't know if you have that over there in America, Dr. Watson. You should try it out, sir. That is like a complex dish. I mean, I know how to do that, of course, but before you can cook biryani, you must first learn how to boil water. That is the first step.
Yes.
You know, you learn how to boil water, then you learn how to make rice. Then you slowly you take your baby steps, and then eventually you cook biryani. So similarly, Professor, you want to be a React.js developer, the basics must be serviced, just like in cooking, sir.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen.
Professor, I have a question from Alex. I'm going to answer that, sir. The Alex question is, what are the best apps to use React with? So Alex, if you're still on the line, my dear student, one option is, of course, what I already showed you, which is the code sandbox, which is good for beginners, okay? However, if you're going to go deep into programming, then I would recommend VS Code. Now in Visual Studio, there are two types. There is VS Code and there is Visual Studio. So Visual Studio is for .NET development. Don't use that. Visual Studio Code, the blue color logo, that is Visual Studio Code. Start using that for React.js development. So that was a question from Alex, Professor.
All right. Thank you very much for your response. And want to emphasize at this point again, Jay has done it consistently throughout his presentation. The floor is yours at this time if you want to ask questions.
And guys, I have put I'm sorry, I keep cutting you, Dr. Watson. I'm sorry,
no,
sir.
that's okay.
I just want to remind the students that I have put a few links in the chat. The first link is what is called as Free Code Camp. It is an online website which teaches the entire web development, the whole thing. And guys, I use that when I was learning. I was using it 2-3 years ago, and even today, whenever I work with a client, this is what I do. I work as a tutor. I use it every day as my syllabus. So Free Code Camp, I put the link there, and I put a couple of videos from my YouTube channel on how to use Code Sandbox. And also many students kept asking me, Jay, sir, I want to, follow you. I want to stay in touch with you and things like that. I made a video on how to do that also. So both the videos are there in the chat. You can also you can just Google me. I think I put it on the screen. You can just Google my name. I'm not saying I'm super famous, but if you Google my name, the entire first page is me. So I am that famous. So you can just Google my name and you can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you want. You can do that as well. So those links are important, guys. Take them, because once the Zoom session gets over, the chat will go away. So yeah, so just copy those links now before the Zoom session ends.
That is great. Let me stop making comments as we have hand up from Lumbayi Lunga. Lumbayi, we are ready for your question at this time. Is okay. We can hear you now.
Okay, Doc. I just wanted to know about something. When you said Code Sandbox, man. So if now you go through that and then you get to GitHub. So is it for free or you have to pay for it?
Both the websites are free. It's unlimited.
Okay.
There are no charges for it. GitHub has always been free. It's like email. You don't have to pay for it. It's free. And then Code Sandbox. Of course, they all have a paid version, but you don't need it for your learning. And that link I shared with you, the Free Code Camp, the title is already there. It's free. So even that learning thing is also free. And obviously, my YouTube channel is also free.
So for that learning, it's going to take you 3 hours, 300 hours or
That's right. That's right. So I don't want to scare you, Lumbai, but I do want you to prepare yourself, prepare yourself. It's like, how you prepare for anything. Like when a mother wants to become a mother, she has to wait for 9 months. It's not scary. It's more like a responsibility. So same thing with coding. If you want to be a coder, you have to invest the time. The sooner you start, the better it is for you in the future. Like my own example, I started young. So today I'm able to enjoy a good life. Same thing applies to everyone.
So the last one, what is the importance of it? Of coding, coding.
I didn't get that, Lumbai. I'm sorry. Can you say it again? Sorry.
The importance of coding. What's the importance of coding?
I'm not getting that, Dr. Walson. Can you
neither am I, but I don't know, Ilunga, if you want to refer to Kodi, the television platform. No, that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like
okay, that's probably another field. But I would recommend for that particular one, I would recommend, as Jay has his contact information on the presentation. I hope you agree with that, Jay.
Sure.
You may contact him, and then he certainly will give you some.
Actually, Dr. Watson, I want the students to know that the links I have shared with you guys, my YouTube channel, especially if you go there, I do run a forum, Dr. Walson, like an open forum where any student can come and ask questions.
Wow,
And what
that's
I have
good.
done is me and some 2-3 students, all of us, we answer questions in our free
Wow.
time.
Wow.
So if you guys follow that YouTube link in the YouTube channel, there is a link for anybody who wants to join our forum. So you guys can do that, guys. And every day I spend 1 hour, 2 hours just answering questions for free, Dr. Walson, because I was also like born very poor. So I promised when I was younger that when I grow up, I will do something for the world. So please, guys, come to the YouTube channel, join our forum, wherever you are in the world, ask questions. And me and my students, we will help you as much as we can. And the forum is free, no ads, nothing.
I want to connect what you just said to some comments or questions from the chat line. I was going to read those questions to you, Jay, but pretty much what you just mentioned is in line with what the students are asking. For example, one is telling us she's new and she's very deeply interested, but how would she go about it since she has no foundation? So I guess your answer, Jay, is a clear response to that student and some other
That's right.
questions.
Guys, one thing is make sure, obviously you need to make sure somehow you get a computer and a basic internet that is necessary. Second thing, make sure you have a GitHub account, okay? Because if you have GitHub account, only then you can ask questions on my open forum, which is open for everyone, but you need GitHub account for that. Third thing is that you have my YouTube channel. Fourth thing, I've given you the link for free code camp, which is totally free. So there are a lot of things, guys. The only thing which you have to do is work hard. Everything else is free.
Good. Thank you very much. Before we wrap up this session, let's allow 2 students to ask their questions a little more directly. We're going to go first to Alex Ajibade and then Frank Fury. Starting with you, Alex. Go ahead and ask your question, please. Alex?
Hello? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, thank you. My question is there a specific project website to help develop students, like something like if students see a kind of projects they will work on it to at least assist, like boost, make them understand, like make us understand how the questions come with React and how you faces projects and answers top projects is. I don't think my question is clear.
Yes. Jay.
Dr. Walson, you have to summarize that to me, sir. I'm not able to understand the
Okay, let me ask you, Alex, to try to rephrase your question in very,
like,
let's say,
like maybe there is a website that do have a free project for students just for them to participate in, maybe something like an example, React, giving projects out, then working on it, it will at least boost their knowledge on how React is and how it works and how you can understand their questions.
Free projects that students have, how can they use you or your forum to move on with their projects, Jay?
Are you asking about practice projects? Is that what he's asking?
Practice project, thank you.
Yes.
Practice project, thank you, thank you.
Right. So, Dr. Watson, in fact, sir, in fact, let me show you my screen, Dr. Watson. 1 second, sir. I think this may be a little bit more easier to explain. So, so now if we go to GitHub, some of you can do that right now. I'll send you the link in the chat. Now, Dr. Watson, like if you guys can go to my account, I'm going to send that link right. It's there on my YouTube channel, but I'll send it right now. This is the link. I'm going to put this in chat. Okay. Now, if you come to that link I just sent you, you will see what I have on the screen right now. Okay. And of course, don't forget, once you go to GitHub, you'll see my face. So, it's my account. you make sure you follow me so that whenever we add a new course, a new question, new material for students, you get notified. Okay, so try to do that if you want to. Second thing is, you will see here, I have added some 10 to 20 projects for students, Dr. Watson. So if you are really interested in coding, you don't have to go anywhere. Take that link that I sent you, go to that link. There are so many projects, and every day, every week, wherever I go, I tell people, you know, guys, come to my community. I'll help you whenever I'm free. Because, you know, obviously I also have to work and earn a paycheck. So whenever I'm not working and I'm free, I help students. And there are many students who came to me as a learning, and then they became experts. So they also spend some time answering questions. So if you want to practice, I have more than 10 to 20 practice projects in that link. And if you have doubts, I have a forum. All you have to do is go to the top. You can see the screen. There's a button called discussions. You can see here, these are all students asking questions. Are you able to see that, Dr. Watson?
Yes, very well.
So that is all students, guys. All other students like you who are trying to learn. You know, I can't teach everybody. I can't do sessions, but I can answer their questions. You know, that much capacity I have. So this is what I'm talking about, guys. So there you go. I hope that answers his question, Dr. Watson. Yes, sir.
That's a clear answer. Let's go to the last question now with Frank Fury, as announced earlier. Are you ready, Frank?
Yeah, thank you. I think you have just answered what I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we had the same. Yes, we had the same question, but I think I don't know if you sent your email address. I don't know if you
right.
did,
so that's the thing, guys. So
that's
my email address is also there on my GitHub account. So everything is on my GitHub account. So just open that GitHub link I sent you. I'll show you guys again. See, if this is my GitHub account, you know, you'll see my face. I'm trying a new look, guys. So I'm trying to do like a different look this year. So sorry about that. If some people don't like it, I'm sorry. You can see here, if you scroll down, you'll see my email address, my website, my Twitter, my Instagram, my LinkedIn. Everything is there on my GitHub account. Just click on the link I send you on the chat, or you can just Google my name. I told you, I'm not super popular, but I'm some popular. So you can just Google my name and you'll get my GitHub in Google also. So just follow me, guys. Just follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you want. Anytime you have a question, just come to my forum. It's open. A lot of students are taking help. You also take it. Not a problem.
This last response summarizes everything fairly well, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to get in touch with Jay at any point in time, if you forget everything that you've heard or seen on this class session, of course, on the one hand, the entire recording of this class will be shared with you either through your email or on your student portals. In the meantime, as you are waiting to get that information very directly, you can, like Jay said, Google his name. Go to google.com and put Jay, and then a bunch of information about what he's doing, what he has for you, the forums, and his email address, everything. You know, the name is right there as we speak on the screen. Just Google that name and you will be easily in touch with our outstanding presenter. Everything that you've done, Jay, was really awesome. And that certainly reflects the prestige of Atlantic International University. I want to say thank you to you, Jay, once again on behalf of the entire institution. I want to say thank you as well to each and every one of you, the participants. This class was a success, outstanding success, to be more precise, thanks to you. First to you, Jay, your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Watson.
Just stands out completely. And every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, who's been with us, we have had a successful class today again, thanks to you. Thank you very much. Let's say thank you to
thank you, guys.
Jay.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. See you next time, guys. See you on GitHub, guys. Come and join me on GitHub. Take care.
Thank you, ladies
Thank you
and
very
gentlemen.
much.
Back
Thank
at
you.
now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.